Hey everyone, Travis here, and this is my review of the Apple Vision Pro. It's been 9 years since the Apple Watch released, which was the last new category of Apple product that Apple made in their main line of products. And here we are now in 2024 with the Apple Vision Pro. This product is honestly way different than anything else Apple has on the market, and this tech is a little bit of a preview of what we're gonna have in the future. Similar to the way the iPhone released in 2007, and now we are on the iPhone 15 Pro, I feel like the same effect is going to happen with the Vision Pro looking into the future. It feels a little weird and it's very fresh and new right now, but it's gonna be an everyday thing in some sort of fashion in the future. Smartphones, specifically with the iPhone, changed the way that we use mobile computers in our pockets and interact with each other, and I think this is also gonna have the same similar effect. I'm going to break this video down into chapters based on different experiences with the Vision Pro and the features of the device itself, so feel free to skip around. First up, with the unboxing experience and the initial setup. I made an entire video specifically on the first impressions and the unboxing, so if you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and check it out. But the unboxing of this product really felt like the Apple Watch to me. The original Apple Watch went all out with its packaging, and it was much different than anything else Apple had on the market, and I think the same is true here. As soon as you crack the box open and lift it up, it is front and center right in front of you, ready to be used. Everything about the unboxing experience guides you through a little bit of what to do as you're going through the unboxing experience, including a book that shows you everything you need to know. This book kind of explains everything in a little bit more detail about each component of the Apple Vision Pro, and I think it's a nice touch. And it's very noticeable right off the bat that Apple wants to hold your hand through this experience to make sure that it's correct. And upon putting it on your head and booting it up for the first time, it guides you through everything you need to set up VisionOS, from looking around and tracking your eyes to pinching to navigate, even setting up Optic ID and tracking your hands, which is all a very futuristic-like experience. Next up is VisionOS, which is a key component of this experience. Of course, this is VisionOS 1.0, so I have to keep my expectations in check here. But even with that, I would love if iOS 18 took some visual cues from VisionOS. I appreciate all the design cues of VisionOS, including the transparent glass, the fluid animations, and even the small little details like drop shadows underneath a window that make it look real. This operating system is unapologetically Apple, and it's the culmination of all the other operating systems that they've worked on over the years, all put into one. And I think this leads me directly into the user experience of this device. Navigating through and using the Apple Vision Pro honestly feels like magic, and I know Apple uses this word a lot when it comes to explaining their products, but it just makes sense here. Pinching to make a confirmation of selecting something rather than, of course, touching is a little bit something to get used to, but once you use it for a little while, it honestly becomes second nature. And something that goes hand in hand with that is the eye tracking, and it's unbelievably accurate. This was one aspect with this device that I was a little bit nervous on how good the eye tracking was going to be, and it's very good. And I've used other VR and AR headsets in the past, and I will say that the Apple Vision Pro specifically, in terms of latency, is clearly the best. There's no sense of delay in terms of the pass-through cameras, and things feel like real world, and it doesn't feel like it's lagging behind your eyes or your brain, and it honestly makes it feel like an extension of real life. Of course, you're looking through cameras and tech, so it's not exactly like real life, but it's pretty close. And I personally don't usually experience any sort of motion sickness when it comes to using a device like this, so I didn't expect that I would, and I didn't. And of course, using a device like this that is going to be right in front of your eyes and on your head, that is a person-by-person basis, so it's not gonna be the same for everyone. For being a first-generation product, I think Apple nailed the design. The Apple Vision Pro has an excellent level of fit and finish, not only on the device itself, but even the band and the battery. It's a really, really well-made product. I will say, taking a step back and realizing that all the tech is in the front of the device, including all the chips, sensors, and cameras, this thing is a marvel of engineering, especially considering the fact that, once again, this is a first generation Apple product. And one design aspect that I didn't realize that I would like as much as I did is the 3D knit band. The quality of this material feels great to wear for an extended period of time. It's very soft, and I love the fact that it's adjustable. As I mentioned before, this thing is a marvel of engineering, featuring an M2 chip, an R1 chip, 2 high-resolution main cameras, 6 world-facing tracking cameras, 4 eye tracking cameras, true depth camera, LiDAR scanner, 4 internal measurement units, flicker sensor, and an ambient light sensor. This thing is packed to the gills with technology, and I can only imagine what a future generation of this is going to look like. The last design aspect here is the external battery, which actually didn't end up being much of an issue at all. The external battery wasn't really much of an issue in terms of using the device. I would put it in my pocket if I was walking around, or set it on a table or on the couch if I was sitting down, and it really didn't bother me all that much. But I'm sure as we get future generations of this product and we get advancements in battery tech, this will improve over time. But for right now, you get about 2 to 2.5 hours of usage, depending on what you're doing. And if you plan on using it for longer than that, you probably want to plug into wall power. Now, the longest chapter of this video is definitely going to be my personal experience with the Apple Vision Pro. Having about 2 weeks to utilize this device, use it for all different kinds of applications and get familiar with it, I have to say I do like it, but there's a few caveats. I have to say my personal experiences that I liked the most using the Apple Vision Pro was watching movies, utilizing Apple's environments, and 3D modeling-esque apps. Apple TV has the ability of watching 2D and 3D movies, and I went ahead and did both. Guardians of the Galaxy in 3D was an awesome experience on this device. I also installed Disney Plus and got a look at their 3D movie catalog as well, and it's not extensive, but you definitely have some good options in there, and I watched Avatar 2 and Avengers Endgame. I have to say I was pretty impressed with both of those movies on Disney Plus, and the visual and audio experience was on point. The displays inside this thing are honestly amazing, and to pair with that, the built-in audio pods, even though they aren't in your ears, sound super good. Even featuring spatial audio with head tracking, it's a really good experience. But if you want to take that up a notch, pair a pair of AirPods Pro 2.5 to this thing, and you've got a movie theater to go. This combination of video and audio with the AirPods Pro 2.5 honestly impressed me even more so that I've been using them for the last couple months, because the Apple Vision Pro and the AirPods Pro 2.5 utilize lossless audio connection. The audio quality is so good. Of course, when you're streaming a movie, the audio with that is not lossless, but when you're playing back Apple Music lossless on these AirPods with the Apple Vision Pro, it sounds awesome. When it comes to games and interactive apps, I have to say this really makes me feel like the original iPad all over again. It was a lot of experiences that were brought over from the iPhone that really made themselves on the iPad as a larger display, and I feel like that's the same way for right now. And I experienced this with 2 Apple Arcade games, Cut the Rope 3 and Super Fruit Ninja. A couple other experiences I really liked on the Apple Vision Pro was a game called Game Room, which I played chess on, and I'm no chess player by any means, but I found that to be really fun. And Synth Riders, which is basically Beat Saber meets Guitar Hero on the Vision Pro with only using your fists and no controllers. Other than games, the other apps that stood out to me were JigSpace and SkyGuide, and these were great experiences of using VR and AR together. JigSpace shows off 3D models of objects, which I think could be a very cool utilization in the future, and SkyGuide gives you a full immersive look at all the constellations, and it's very cool. If you want to see a more in-depth video on the apps that I like the most on the Apple Vision Pro, I also made a video about that as well. In terms of using the Apple Vision Pro, one of the coolest things is that apps stay where you pin them essentially. So around the room, I would place an app, look around, and it would stay there, and I thought this was the coolest thing. And this basically turns your home, work, or business office into an actual computer that's around you. So let's get into my final thoughts of the Apple Vision Pro. Now, I'll be 100% honest here. I like the Apple Vision Pro more than I thought I would, but I didn't get the normal itch that I get when a new Apple product comes out, like an iPhone or an iPad. Similarly, when the 16-inch M3 Max MacBook Pro came out, or the iPhone 15 Pro Max came out, I had the itch to use those devices, and I didn't get that here. I had to constantly remind myself that the Vision Pro was there on the desk and that I could use it, and to tell myself to put it on and continue using it. Now, going into a $3,500 plus device, this might instill fear in some people that you might spend this money to have a little bit of an experience and a wow factor, and then are you gonna continue using it after that? Which I think was my biggest fear of this device. Yes, it does everything it does incredibly well, especially for a first-gen product, but I wasn't gravitating towards it. Now, this could just be me and my old ways, as I typically use a Mac as my everyday go-to machine, as I love the Mac, but I don't necessarily know if the Vision Pro is like this for other people as well. And to be fair, I have to continually tell myself this is a first generation experience through and through. It's the VisionOS 1.0 paired with the first gen of the hardware itself. And as we've seen in the past with most Apple products, by the time you get to the 4th generation of a product, that's when it really starts to shine. A couple examples of this are the iPhone 4 and the Series 4 Apple Watch. So let's talk about the future. I really feel like this device in particular is marking the future for technology as we know it today. Up until this point in terms of technology, we have relied on 2D displays in various shapes and sizes as our pieces of technology, whether that's a watch, a phone, an iPad, a Mac, a computer display. But now things are gonna take shape in a totally different format where everything is spatial and you have all these screens like Minority Report. Now, I don't know if this is gonna take over next year, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, but this is definitely the start. And I'm gonna keep my eye out on OS updates for the Apple Vision Pro and hardware, of course, when the new 2nd generation version of this comes out at some point. And WWDC is right around the corner, so I'm sure we're gonna get a good look at VisionOS 2 with a lot of app developers showing off what they can do with this device now that they've had it for a little while. But until then, I don't think I'll be using the Apple Vision Pro on a daily basis. I think for right now, this is an excellent 1st generation stab at this new spatial computing endeavor, but it's for unique experiences as of right now. Like I said, my favorite things with this device were watching movies, and I don't know how often I'm gonna wanna reach for this compared to watching a movie in a theater or watching it on like an LG OLED. What are your thoughts on spatial computing and the Apple Vision Pro, and do you think that this is the future? Drop a comment down below on your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. This is Travis, and have a good night.